GM, welcome to morning markets. So, Bitcoin trying to climb above its high time frame support resistance level. As you guys know, nothing good happens below there, but if we can reclaim it, can lead to bullish momentum. Ethereum, Total 3, and others all far below it. So exactly as I said yesterday morning, the focus should be on Bitcoin for trading this week. That's where the most opportunity is, and opportunity cost, guys, is absolutely everything in the markets as a trader. You want to long the assets with the most strength and short the assets, of course, with the most weakness. So I've been sharing these schematics with you for a number of weeks now. So we have Bitcoin distribution idea on the left, Bitcoin reaccumulation idea on the right, heading towards that phase D now in both scenarios. So from here, what have I been saying? Path of least resistance is up in either scenario. And well, we've caught some amazing longs this week. That's played out beautifully because it's simple, guys. After the liquidation day, traders do one of two things. They're either wrecked, so completely out the market, or they de-risked on the bounce and said, hey guys, I'm going risk off. And that's fine, that's valid if that's part of your systems and that was your decision to make. However, what the market then tends to do is rally as the max pain path to test their conviction and also to test the people who, of course, got liquidated when they see their assets rising. Then they lose their mind and potentially make bad decisions because that's what the market wants you to do. It wants to generate exit liquidity, especially in distributions, so that smart money can use the buying pressure of retail to fill their sell orders. Remember, whales sell when they can, not when they want. Now, if it is reaccumulation, again, it's just the same thing. Price will build a base and go up. So longs are the play. They have been the play, and we've been absolutely printing if you're watching my videos. So looking at Bitcoin, daily 12 and 21 bands, sure. Finding resistance so far. Need to get above there to show signs of positions actually rebuilding and spot sellers not selling at lower and lower points each time, because that is not what you want to see. You don't want to continually see lower highs, because what's that? Lower highs equals downtrend, guys. Very simple. Call the market for what it is. Don't try read through the tea leaves. No, uptrend is going up, downtrend is going down. That might sound simple, but it's amazing how easily that gets messed up by traders and a bunch of money gets lost. So looking at Bitcoin here, you've got the zone I mentioned yesterday, your buy zone, which is between roughly 107.2 and 109K, and the sell zone. So this is the order block that led to the recent flush. That's where sellers have shown up so far. So either you're looking at something like the green path, reaccumulation, or the red path, and it depends whether spot sellers can get absorbed or not. We know spot sellers, they top and bottom the market. But that doesn't help us. What does help us is looking at levels, having technical triggers that are objective so that we know what to do. We've got a plan for all scenarios, and it's very simple. Daily closes below the range low. We look at the idea of Bitcoin breaking down. That makes redistribution likely. But as long as we're above the range low, we've reclaimed it, and your bias is for longs. Now you can take day trades both long and short, but what I'm saying is above the range low. We're not breaking down. Yes, the bull market isn't back on, but there's at least a chance of reaccumulation or distribution from higher. So as I said, both scenarios, while we're above the range low, lead to good setups for further rallies. And well, we've been taking some beautiful trades, guys. Look at this one from morning markets yesterday. Mapped out a few different scenarios. We had an immediate continuation scenario. That didn't happen. Instead, we got something more like this middle purple scenario where we chopped, broke down, but bounced right at the weekly open, exactly as I laid out. So look at this. We chopped around, dipped into the weekly open. We then even got a sweep. So you guys will know if you've been watching my videos for a little bit, sweep reversal pattern. That then confirmed after the break of structure. So look, guys, it's just like this. You set a low, you sweep the low, you break the structure. That was my trigger to get long. Very simple price action reversal pattern. So this is the setup I took. Of course, it was around the weekly open, so that's why it was such a perfect setup. That's going to be a key level today, so make sure to stick around as I give you a few setups that I'm looking at. in mind, but we took full profits on this one. Exited beautifully. If you guys take a look here, so this was a setup, mapped out, purple path was playing out, got a sweep at the weekly open, then broke out. Beautiful. Path playing out. Makes me look like a genius with those magic squiggles, but the real benefit, of course, is actually taking a trade, getting long and making money, not about being correct. Right or wrong in the markets doesn't get you paid. Building systems gets you paid, and well, that setup played out beautifully. We took full profits this morning on the sweep, got out because we were heading towards the resistance level, this pivot level. I said price is likely to have an attempt at 112, and well, that's exactly what we got. Above that breakout level, we pushed up on CPI, and remember, I said look for reversals over here. Yesterday's video, guys, you've got to look at all of these key pivot levels. Mean reversion markets, this is how they play. That found resistance immediately, whipped literally right to it before rejecting, and now we're flushing back down to the high time frame SR. So what am I looking at from here on Bitcoin? Let's clear up some of these levels. Setups wise, I'm looking at a potential long again around that weekly open level. Something like this. Invalidation goes below that range low. Wouldn't want to see price start trading below there. That would be a different setup. But what I'm seeing is we have some liquidity over here. And if we can have a quick dip into that liquidity, that would be the most ideal scenario. So just something like this. If we can have a quick flush into it, that would be what I'd want to see. And that's my trigger to then look for some sort of long. Invalidation below the range low and potentially looking to trade that for a further rally higher. No target set. I'll be looking at momentum to take profit. Whether that takes us to 112 or the Q4 open, I'm not sure. Got levels in between, of course, high time from SR. That's what I'll be looking at in terms of this long. I want to see this liquidity over here. So we'll mark that out. This liquidity is right at the weekly open, which I like, which can set up a nice position for a long. And that long is definitely more so on the 1 hour time frame. So looking at Bitcoin here, potentially losing the high time frame SR. And if we do lose that, then I think we can see some of this liquidity get taken out because you've got some inefficient moves recently. Heading into the New York session now, just at CPI. So we trapped a bunch of longs, no doubt, over here. So anyone who just got long based off CPI numbers, which came in below expected. So just goes to show how you'd typically think that's meant to be bullish, right? Inflation cooling. Powell's going to cut more rates. Well, markets don't quite work that easily, do they, guys? This is why you have to have systems. Systems is what allows you to make money. Trading off news alone is no better than a coin flip. It's just random. So bunch of trap longs there. This pivot level is now very key to reclaim. Get above there, you're looking at Q4 open easily. Because once you get above the level where longs were previously trapped, that shows that demand is just outweighing the supply. That shows there's momentum and that anyone trapped there has already been wrecked. So that can lead to the next level pretty fast. So watching that pivot level closely. Of course, get above that high time from SR. That would be the ideal move, but would exit on any momentum loss that I saw on the way. So I'll keep you guys updated on that one. Make sure you are in the know and able to see all my posts. So that's the setup for Bitcoin. 1 hour looking at that liquidity. And to get a fresh chart and look at Bitcoin here on the 1 hour time frame. In fact, we'll go look at the order flow quickly. So Bitcoin over here, 1 hour chart, what are we seeing? Well, this was the liquidation day. This is open interest, guys. So this is the futures market, both longs and shorts. Starting to see futures interest recovering a little bit. That's good. As I mentioned last video, you don't want to see Bitcoin open interest just falling and falling and falling, because that means shorts and longs, they're exiting. Interest in the market is exiting. We know spot sellers are here. Smart money after liquidation days, they sell on the bounce, they sell on the bounce, they sell on the bounce. But as I've been mentioning, if the key levels like the range low, 107.2K can hold, if you see open interest actually building steadily as price generally holds this area, that can lead to a reaccumulation scenario, even if it's just for an exit rally in the distribution scenario. It leads to price going up, some sort of rally. Opposite, if you see open interest continue falling and longs taking more profit, more futures positioning, exiting, then that's what sets up the idea of distribution. And that will be confirmed with the range low pivot level. Daily closes below there, of course. So while we're above there, potentially we're seeing open interest reaccumulate. And that can set up for, as I said, rallies higher. A sideline rally, very classic as everyone's de-risked, just to make people question themselves. So that's why my bias is for longs. You've seen perpetual futures that have actually shorted very aggressively, especially off that CPI print. So they've absolutely aped into shorts here. I like to see that, especially when I'm looking for longs, because spot CVD is flat. You can see over here, green line's flat. So that's the market orders on the spot side. Whereas perp, red ones are down. So perp are shorting while spot are neutral. So that means shorts are aping in here. You've got open interest, which is rising quite hard. And as you can see, price is not really moving. Price is very balanced. So I actually expect some volatility today, guys. Make sure you've got an eye on the charts. Open interest up 3%, price down 1%, and perp shorting hard right after CPI. I've not got a crystal ball, but typically that's a good sign if you can get some high risk to reward longs and find a nice entry. Now, maybe this high time frame SR just holds. Now I get front ran and don't get this beautiful setup. But either way, I think those shorts are going to get squeezed at some point. So you got a trap over here. Trapped longs. But also this is where shorts are now putting their stops, guys. So you start climbing back up to here. You're going to look at something like the green path because those shorts are probably going to get annihilated. And I'll be watching this breakdown level very carefully now from here. Above the breakout level, that's where low time frame momentum probably takes over, and you can actually see nice consolidation, and that can continue into this green path over here because this is where we failed to break out from. So the more you test it, the more likely you are to actually flip it because it's becoming weaker and weaker and weaker. And if everyone's just aped into shorts since CPI, then what you're going to see is whether it's from here or whether it's from lower and actually fills one of my orders around the weekly open, you're going to see shorts get squeezed at some point because this has just gone very inefficiently down. So these are really the two bounce points that I'd be interested in. Of course, you've got the high time frame SR bounce point or you've got the weekly open bounce point. Either scenario, we've grabbed liquidity. It just depends if we need a deeper flush or not. And then I think some of these shorts can get squeezed. That should be pretty simple since no one can just naked short CPI and have a free ride down, likely to test these areas. So that has framed my bias for today. That's what I'm looking at on Bitcoin. Of course, altcoins, not interested, not going to look at them. No need. Opportunity cost is everything, guys. I want to long the strong assets. I want to long the assets with the best liquidity, and I also want to short the assets with the biggest moves and the most traders and the most volume. Just cannot trade those altcoins when they're so illiquid. So that's the Bitcoin update. Looking at gold. So what are we seeing? Of course, all the craze is around gold, but what's happened? We're just bouncing off this daily order block, daily market structure over here. And really, you got a range between 4.4K and 4K, as mentioned yesterday, at the daily bands, which have held previously. So again, wouldn't be surprised to see on gold, you rally, and before it makes its direction, you spend a bunch of time consolidating, and that is denoted by these paths that are mapped out. So you're just looking at which side of the box breaks in the coming weeks to months. This chart's probably got to cool off and distribute or cool off for reaccumulation higher. So that's everything when it comes to gold. Not too interesting. Retail FOMOed in at the top. So now things get choppy. Stocks, GM to stocks, making a new all-time high today off that CPI print. So that's what you call a good reaction to CPI, a new all-time high. That's where the strength is still. It's in the stock market and this keeps grinding higher. But as I said, if this is going to top out here, tops take a while. They take, 50 days from previous examples over here that you'll see. Stock market topped in December 2024, but it didn't start breaking down until February. Then you got all the tariff craze, and this was the low which got broken. Right now, the low is at 6.5k. That needs to break to confirm a top. Otherwise, until then, there is a chance that we just go to new highs. If so, you're going to see a strong candle today, and that follows up with a strong candle on Monday to start next week. And I'll expect the green path. Otherwise, if we fall back in this box, I'd expect something more like distribution. So that's what I'm looking at when it comes to the stock market. That is your full crypto update, guys. If you enjoyed this video, drop a subscribe, drop a like, drop a comment on the video. Seeing this channel doing super well. Really appreciate you guys. I read all the comments. I read all the messages you give me. Want to make this place a beautiful place. So help me out. I'll see you guys in the next one.